What's up everyone, welcome back to Living Survival, and today we're going to take a look at the highly anticipated Bob Fieldcraft folder from Tops. Alright, so finally we have the Tops Bob Fieldcraft folder, right? I mean, it's been a few years since we first saw this prototype at SHOT Show, so the hype has been there, and this knife is going to interest a lot of people as it did and does me. Let's go over some basic specs of the knife, and then we'll go over some of its capabilities, good and bad. So we have a closed length of 5.5 inches. Overall, once the blade is open, you have a 9.88 inch overall with a 4.38 inch blade. It is a Scandi grind with a small secondary bevel. Now, why the secondary bevel? Because it helps increase the edge retention. Tops does fantastic 1095, so this is 1095 with the black Cerakote coating. You have the canvas micarta handles, which are really beautiful, and they're really comfortable. This knife is more comfortable than the fixed blade version of the Fieldcraft knife. So beautiful handles. Of course, it's a folder, so you have a pocket clip. It is a reversible left and right pocket clip, tip up only. So that's nice. It is a heavy-duty pocket clip. It does come with a nice leather sheath, a beautiful leather sheath, in fact. So you have snap retention, and your knife just slips down inside there. So a nice little package with the folding knife and the leather sheath. It does have a belt loop on the back, so if you don't want to carry a big fixed blade, you could carry this, and it's still going to give you the overall length of a fixed blade. Another thing you could do with this is, you know, of course, put it down into a pack, a pocket. So you do have some advantages there of having a folding version of a heavier duty fixed blade knife. The knife I received is perfectly centered, so that's nice. It has a perfect grind geometry, so perfectly symmetrical there. It is a liner lock, stainless liner, and then you have 4 spacer pins here, with the forwardmost one being your stop pin for when the blade is deployed. This side stamped Fieldcraft, and the other side stamped Made in USA. Now, I'm not sure who was stamping these. It is a little bit blurry, and not that I mind, but it is a little bit of a blurry stamp on mine. And then in the handles, you have a bow drill divot on both sides, so that's nice. It is off-centered. You know, the thought there is that you do put a certain amount of weight on your bearing block there when you're using it for a bow drill. So although I haven't tested it with this knife, you know, I generally don't use my knife for a bearing block. I'll just make one out of wood. It is there, and the capability is there. So back when I first saw the prototype of the Fieldcraft folder, and even now once I've received it, I sort of had this picture in my mind that it was a heavy-duty, heavy-use folding knife that could live up to some of the expectations of a fixed blade. So of course the number one question on everybody's mind is going to be, will it baton? And then second question probably is, will it strike a ferrule rod? Now, since it has the Cerakote coating on it and they don't sharpen the spines, it won't likely spark a ferrule rod, although I don't count on my knife to do that anyway. I always carry a separate striker, so that's a non-issue for me. So one of the things, of course, that I did with this knife is baton. Now, before we go any further, Tops specifically notes on their website that you will void your warranty if you baton with this knife. Now, the only locking mechanism on the Fieldcraft folder is the stainless liner, and I was batoning with it through some really nasty hard ash, some twisted up ash, and the liner did end up giving way. Now, the stop pin is very rugged. You know, I didn't have any problems with the knife as far as lockup goes on the back side, on the stop pin side, but the liner did give out, and then in my stupidity, Yesterday I did end up slicing my finger nearly off. I'll roll some of that footage towards the end. Even the best of us have those moments. I was simply trying to break that liner as easily as it broke going through that wood. I've used this for the last week or so to make shavings and to carve, and it's going to hold up to all those tasks. So, you know, the number one appeal for something like this is that it's the folding version of the Tops Bob. Number two would be that it's, you know, you can carry it more easily than a fixed blade. You can store it in packs. And number three would be that it is a hard use knife. Well, the hard use, not so much in my testing, unfortunately. So hopefully in a future version, maybe this knife, they add a secondary lock to it, a pin lock that would allow it to do a little heavier duty use. So with a folding knife, you know, you generally would use this as sort of an EDC tool to cut up in boxes, cut rope, cut cordage. Being the Brothers of Bushcraft Fieldcraft knife, you know, you would take this style knife out to the woods. So being able to do those camp chores like make traps, make stakes, just general woodcraft, bushcraft style things, you know, as long as you're treating this as you would any other folding knife, I really don't think you're gonna have any issues. Now, I mean, I have stabbed it into this log quite a bit, and the tip seems to be pretty strong, although I'm just not gonna crank on it at all. But you know, you could certainly use this to spin out a divot, you know, if you're making a bow drill fire or something like that. Again, you can use it to make toggles, to make stakes. But again, you know, I kind of just wanted to see the harder use applications for this knife. Now I have some pine here that I said it's got, you know, some resin in it, some pretty resinous pine. So as I mentioned, I was batoning through some really heavy duty, gnarly twisted up ash, and of course the liner gave out on me. You know, it doesn't affect the knife at all. I didn't break it at all, but you can see even on this pine here, we can give it a good whack and you can see that the liner just gives way right away. So, you know, definitely not going to be able to use this for any sort of harder use tasks. Not going to be able to use it for batoning. So that was a little bit disappointing to me. Not that I expected it to be able to baton a lot, but I've had other folders that I've been able to at least baton through some, you know, some soft woods to you know, get some tinder when I forget my fixed blade. And that it was what I was kind of hoping to do with this knife, is if you forget your fixed blade, you know, you'll be able to get some tasks done with this. Batoning is one of those ones that I would definitely rule out. All your other tasks though, like carving and just general camp prep type stuff, you know, this knife is not going to have any problem. And where it does excel is the fact that it is, you know, a larger knife than maybe the pocket knife that you carry on you every day. So, you know, it's a lot less fatiguing to do things like feathers and to do things like carving. You can see there's some really good resin in this wood here, which is what I wanted to baton down. But it's very comfortable, and again, I mentioned it's more comfortable than the actual fixed blade version of the Bob. It doesn't have the tang on the back sticking out and that weird little scoop that they put in the Bob. But you know, it is comfortable, and again, you're gaining that extra length, and since that stop pin is what you're essentially pushing on when you're doing you know, push cuts like this, you're not going to have any problems. You know, it's when you go the opposite way that liner is going to give out on you. So, you know, again, it's going to come down to people that really like this knife and other people that just you know, sort of expected more out of it. It'll definitely serve as a good backup, you know, bush knife if I forget my fixed blade, which, you know, I've done before. You know, the components of the knife are more rugged. The handle is more rugged. It's nicer. It's just, you know, hopefully they can address that lock in a future version. But that Scandi grind, you know, it's another asset to it. Really one of the most versatile grinds you can have in the woods. I need to let this wood dry out, but you know, there's some really resinous curls there, which is cool. And there, you know, it's very easily done with this Fieldcraft folder. You know, you can do some more rugged carving here, and again, I have no fear with the you know, the stop pin on here being as tough as it is that I'm going to have any problem. Again, it's when you go the other way. So love it or hate it, let me know in the comments section below. It's one of those knives, again, that some people are really gonna like and some people are not going to like it so much. I think it's a rugged knife. The blade steel is rugged, just like all of Top's 1095 blades. The stop pin is very rugged, but where it fails is that frame lock. Now, most of you are not gonna have that issue. Tops will actually avoid your warranty if you baton with this knife being a folding knife. But if they want to put it into a heavy use category, I think that they need to beef up that liner lock a little bit and maybe add a locking pin as some other knives do. I've done that same test, although I've not nearly cut my finger off before being stupid. I've done that same test with a 2x4 on lock mechanisms before and haven't had them fail as quickly or as easily as this one did. That being said, the handles are gorgeous. The overall design is beautiful. It feels good in the hand, much more so than the fixed blade version, in my opinion. And if you have a use for a large folding blade, something that maybe you want to carry on your hip or it slipped into your pocket when a fixed blade just isn't going to get the job done, or again, put it into a kit, this may be a perfect knife for you. So again, I hope you guys leave me a comment below, and if you want to share my airhead moment with any of your friends or family on your social media, please feel free to do so. If you haven't already done so, please click that red subscribe button and that notification bell to be notified of new videos.